Welcome to the Adoption and Foster Care Journey, a podcast to encourage, educate, and equip you to care for children and youth through adoption, foster, and kinship care. Hosted by an adoptive mom with over 22 years of kinship and adoptive parenting experience. She's on this journey with you. Please welcome Sandra Flach.
For to us a child is born, to us a son is given, and the government shall be upon his shoulder, and his name shall be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. Well, that is Isaiah chapter 9, verse 6. Welcome to this final Advent episode of the Adoption and Foster Care Journey podcast. I'm your host, Sandra Flach. Throughout December, I like to focus on Advent here on this podcast. If you haven't listened to the last 3 episodes of this podcast, I encourage you to go back and give a listen. They're not extremely long. They're pretty short compared to our regular episodes, but the first 3 were on hope, love, joy, and today I'll be sharing about peace. This episode actually releases on Christmas Day, so I'm recording in advance, obviously. And whether you are listening on the 25th or after, I pray that you will experience the hope, joy, love, and peace that Jesus came to bring us. However, I know as a parent raising teens with trauma and prenatal alcohol exposure, I get how difficult this time of year can be for us as parents and for our kids too, right? And that's part of the reason why I do these Advent episodes every year, because we all need that encouragement and help to focus on the real meaning of Christmas. So I hope you are encouraged by these Advent episodes. Again, last week I focused on joy. Today we're going to focus on peace. But before we begin, I would love for you to check out this very helpful resource, especially if you are parenting a kiddo that was possibly or diagnosed with prenatal alcohol exposure, FASD, somewhere on that spectrum. You're not alone and you don't have to go it alone. So check out this message about our support group.
Natalie Vecchione of the FASD Hope podcast and Sandra Flach of the Adoption and Foster Care Journey podcast would like to invite you to join their Hope for the FASD Journey, a virtual support community for parents and caregivers raising individuals with an FASD, diagnosed or not. This faith-based community includes an online bi-monthly support group, a monthly VIP conversation, and a private Facebook group which includes a video devotional from Natalie and Sandra every Saturday. To register, visit justiceforoorphans.ny.org/training/FASD.
And in addition to our online support group, I am now offering coaching sessions. So if you are interested in more of a one-on-one to learn more about FASD, the primary symptoms, secondary and tertiary symptoms, and really learn some strategies that can help you support your kiddo. That's what I offer. We can tailor it to the specific symptoms your child struggles with and some proven strategies to help your kiddo. So you can learn more about that and all of our other FASD resources on our website at justiceforoorphansny.org. And I also will be releasing in January, stay tuned to this podcast and to our website and even our social media for the posting. We're gonna share the calendar of all of our FASD workshops that I do online and in person, so that you can be looking forward to getting scheduled for that. I know I have been hearing from some listeners who are interested in the 18-hour workshop that I do, which is actually 6 3-hour sessions. So we do it online once a week for 6 weeks. I will be scheduling that early in the new year as well, so that we can get that in. And so stay tuned for when exactly all of those dates are going to be. Also, please subscribe to this podcast, whatever platform that you listen on, like it, share it, follow it, whatever it might be. We are also on YouTube. Justice for Orphans has a YouTube channel. So all of the video episodes of this podcast are posted there. So you can check that out. And I hope that you'll follow it there as well. And tell your friends about it. Those of your friends who are adopting, fostering, even a grandmother caring for her grandkids, right? We all need support for this journey. So share about it so others can find this podcast as a great resource that it is too. This is the podcast I wish I had back in the day when I started my adoptive parenting journey. I don't think podcasts were maybe quite invented yet at that point, but this would have been an invaluable resource for me back then. So I hope that you find it that way as well. So again, throughout December, we've been doing these Advent episodes, and I've also been sharing a Christmas parenting tip is what I've started calling it. And today's tip, relax. Yep, I said it, relax. I know. I hear you because I'm there too. It's not that easy for us parents, right? Especially us moms, right? Not easy for us to relax because of all of the things that we have to do. We don't give ourselves permission to even relax. But I am giving you permission to relax. And I'm not talking about spending the day on the couch, eating Christmas cookies and binge watching Home Alone. Although, hey, if you want to do that, it does kind of sound nice, right? I'm talking more about taking a moment or two each day to sip a cup of coffee and just sit and admire your Christmas tree lights. This morning, I was sitting having my quiet time with the Lord, and I like having all of the other lights off in the room because it's still a little bit dark when I get up, and just having the Christmas lights on, and I have my coffee, I have my devotional, and it's quiet because nobody else is up yet. And it's just, I get about 15 minutes, 20 minutes. I try to stay there as long as I can and just savor the moment and rest, relax, and recharge my batteries, right? That's what we really need to do. Or even take a bath. At the end of the day, we're busy, we're running, we're wrapping, we've done all of this stuff for Christmas, and then just take a bath at the end of the day, kids in bed, hopefully, right? And use some essential oils for some aromatherapy and just soak and recharge your batteries that way. Relax. I looked up the word relax in well, I can't say I looked it up in the dictionary. I went online, right, and Googled it, but using the dictionary definition of the word relax, it means to make or become less tense or anxious. Right? I don't know if I would have defined it that way. I would have defined relax as, sitting down and kicking your feet up and resting, but it's literally to make less stressed and less anxious. Whew. Wow. I find that when I'm tense or anxious, especially when I'm behind schedule, have too many things on my too full to-do list, not enough time to do it all, like at Christmas time or anytime I'm tense, my kids are hypersensitive to that. They read me like a book. They become tense too. I have one that gets instantly dysregulated if they sense that I'm a little stressed or I'm a little tense, or if we're running late to go somewhere and I'm like, all right, everybody get in the car and we got to go. And, he can't take it. He's right away dysregulated. Just the other night, I was multitasking as we parents often do, wrapping some presents on the kitchen table. At the same time, I was trying to get Christmas cookies baked, and I had them all out on our kitchen island. And we had been folding laundry earlier, and there was some piles of folded clean laundry on one end of the kitchen table. And when one of my kids, walked through the room, my son, and I just said, "Hey, can you take your laundry, get it off the table. I'm trying to get these presents wrapped." He right away snapped, like, "Why are you so mad?" and I wasn't mad, but he sensed it in my voice because I was rushed. I was a little tense because I was getting tired. It was 8 o'clock at night. I just wanted to be done with the wrapping and the baking and the cleaning everything up and, the piles of laundry and wrapping paper everywhere and all of that. I wasn't mad, but I was tense. I was stressed. I needed to relax, probably, right? I needed to relax my body. I needed to relax my expectations of myself and my kids, relax my to-do list, relax my tense body. If I'm dysregulated, it will trigger my kids and they will become dysregulated too. And it just sucks the peace right out of our house. And I also looked up online the definition of peace. And the definition of peace, the dictionary definition, is freedom from disturbance, tranquility, calmness, restfulness. Does that describe your holiday season or any season, right? How do we obtain this peace that we so desperately need, but it seems life gives us a short supply of that? Well, the verse I opened with from Isaiah chapter 9, verse 6 describes Jesus as our wonderful counselor, our mighty God, our everlasting Father, our Prince of Peace. And I was thinking about those titles and I started thinking like they're almost stepping stones, right? Like levels almost. Like when we seek counsel from our wonderful counselor, right? We do that through the word of God and through prayer, right? That's one step, so to speak, right? We need our wonderful counselor. We need the wisdom and counsel of God. And we get that through spending time with him and being in his word and spending time in prayer. But then that list also refers to him as our mighty God, right? When we come to know our mighty God, who is all powerful and whose will is perfect. I think that is another level of obtaining peace. And then it refers to God, our Father, right? We come to know God, our Father, everlasting Father, as the verse says. He is our trustworthy dad, right? So knowing God as our wonderful counselor through his word and through prayer, coming to know him as our mighty God who is all powerful and whose will is perfect. And then we come to know God as our Father, our trustworthy dad. And then the last name on that list was Prince of Peace, right? We come to know Jesus, our Prince of Peace. And I started thinking, it's almost like as we know God as our wonderful counselor, and as we know him as our Father, as we know him as mighty God, we begin to experience that peace. Knowing God in those ways intimately fills us with that peace. And I love Colossians chapter 1, verse 27. To them, God has chosen to make known among the Gentiles the glorious riches of this mystery. What is the mystery? Which is Christ in you, the hope of glory. If you have accepted Jesus as your Lord and Savior, you have Christ in you. Christ in you, the hope of glory, right? We have the Prince of Peace in us. That means we have access to peace whenever we choose to access it. It's always there. He's always there. We can tap into the Prince of Peace and allow his peace to gush forth in our homes, in our lives. And it starts with us. We just have to access it. We have to choose it. We have to tap into it. We already have it. It starts with us. And it reminds me of that Christmas carol, right? Let there be peace on earth and let it begin with me. I looked up the lyrics to that song because as I was praying about this message and as I was starting to put it together, that line, let there be peace on earth and let it begin with me, kept resonating over and over in my head. And when I looked up the lyrics, it goes on to say, let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be, with God as our Father, brothers all are we. Let me walk with my brother in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every breath I take, let this be my solemn vow, to take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth and let it begin with me. Guys, it starts with us. It's a moment by moment choice, but peace in our home starts with us because we have the Prince of Peace in us. It doesn't matter what chaos might be going on around us. And we know that sometimes our lives with our kiddos can be pretty chaotic, especially around the holidays. But peace is not based on our circumstances. In fact, Philippians chapter 4, verse 7 says, and the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and minds in Christ Jesus. We can have peace when by earthly understanding, right? By earthly reasoning, having peace doesn't make sense, right? Not peace as the world would see it, but we can have this supernatural peace because it comes from the Prince of Peace living inside of us. We have constant and direct access to him every minute of every day. If you are not experiencing this peace, spend some time with Jesus today. Spend some time in his word. I actually recommend reading all of Philippians chapter 4, because when I was pulling out those verses that I felt that they were the ones I was to use for this message, I kept there was so many of the verses that I wanted to include in this message. And I thought, I'm just going to go back myself and sit and meditate on some of these verses because there was so much encouragement in chapter 4. So that's your assignment this week. Read Philippians chapter 4. I hope that you'll go ahead to do it. I think it's a great place to start, because we really can have peace that passes all understanding because we have Christ in us, the hope of glory. We have the Prince of Peace in us. So I pray today that you will experience this peace that passes all understanding. And I wish you a very merry and peace-filled Christmas. Thank you for listening to the Adoption and Foster Care Journey podcast. I hope you were encouraged by this Advent message today. If you enjoyed the show, feel free to let us know. You can leave a review, you can subscribe, follow, all of that. You could also email us. You can find me right on the website, justicefororphansny.org, and let us know how you have been supported by this podcast, what you like, what you want to hear more of, what you're looking for in this podcast, even in the coming year. I read every message that comes through, every email that comes through, I read personally, and I'm so grateful when I hear from you. So I encourage you to do that. And again, subscribe, follow, let your fellow adoptive and fostering friends know about this podcast so that they can be encouraged and equipped too. And be sure to find us and follow us on social media. We are at Justice for Orphans, as well as you can find me, Sandra Flach, on both Facebook and Instagram as well. Now, I am grateful that you have spent your valuable time with me today. I am thrilled to have you along for the journey, and I look forward to continuing the journey with you into the new year. See you in 2024.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Adoption and Foster Care Journey podcast, brought to you by Justice for Orphans. We hope you were encouraged today. Please be sure to subscribe to this podcast and leave a review. And share it with your fellow foster and adoptive parent friends so they can be encouraged too. Be sure to find and follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Justice for Orphans. And check out our website for vital resources at justicefororphansny.org.